What's going on, guys? RTP here. Now, in this video, I'm going to be debunking Screw Attack's Jak and Daxter versus Ratchet and Clank. I know debunks have gotten a negative stigma throughout the community, so with that being said, this video is not going to be negative at all. I think I'm just going to, be very respectful and just get straight to the point. So with that being said, let me go ahead and just say that this video, in terms of editing quality and the animation fight, everything about it was entertaining. It was a great video. It's very fun to watch. However, I do care about the research department. So with that being said, we're just going to briefly listen to what they said on who would win and why, and that's just going to be like the end of the video. I'm not going to like put their whole video in this video because that'd be unnecessary. So we're just going to listen to their ending conclusion to why who beat who and go from there. And also, just so nobody gets confused, this is going to be an analysis based on the pre-reboot of Ratchet and Clank, not the post-reboot where they got drift apart and things like that. We're going to be talking about, pre-reboot and not the post-reboot. I'll make a separate video on that and power scale him individually and see how he stacks up against Jak and Daxter.
KO!
Oh, not the weasel guy!
Jak and Daxter were formidable fighters, especially when they had enough eco on hand. But Ratchet and Clank's better teamwork, superior defenses, and overwhelming arsenal trumped them in the end.
While they both had ways to patch themselves up, Ratchet's nanotech was way more reliable and plentiful than Jak's green eco.
And Ratchet's shields and incapacitative weaponry were more than enough to put a stop to Jak's more offensive eco.
Haha, take that, nature!
While Jak and Daxter's morph gun was one of the most versatile weapons we've ever seen, it absolutely pales in comparison to the sheer size and power of Ratchet and Clank's arsenal.
Jak's best shot was his dark form, but like everything Jak and Daxter had, it didn't take long to run out of juice. Well, Ratchet and Clank had more than enough gadgets and weaponry to keep up the fight.
Plus, Clank is an infinitely more capable sidekick than Daxter, especially his time manipulation and immunity powers.
It was game overture for Jak and Daxter.
The winners are Ratchet and Clank.
Okay, so their reasonings to why Ratchet and Clank would defeat Jak and Daxter, I'm sorry to say, that's not accurate at all. Yeah, I didn't really appreciate the low ball of Jak's eco supply. They keep implying that he doesn't have like that much and that it runs out. That's not true. If you actually look at the Lost Frontier, he has a nigh unlimited supply of eco. It naturally recharges, and as he upgrades throughout the game, the recharge speed is a lot faster. It literally takes anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds, somewhere around that range. So he basically has an unlimited supply of eco. So running out of eco, that was not a fair thing for them to say. Another thing was that they tried to mention Clank with the time staff and having better time abilities than Jak. Whether or not, if that's the case, which I'm sure it may very well be, giving them the benefit of the doubt because I'm still power scaling Ratchet and Clank. I'm going to be making a separate video to this. But with that being said, you can't really bring that up anyways because the time staff, Clank doesn't have that anymore. It was given to him within A Crack in Time, the video game of Ratchet and Clank, but at the end of the game he had to give it back to Siegfried. And yeah, he doesn't have that time staff anymore. They also mentioned that he has inaccessible speed. Now they don't say inaccessible speed, but it's an inaccessible speed feat where Clank was moving around in an area without time. But I would like to call that into question because the only reason why that happened was because he went to this machine called the clock and he preset the coordinates to go back in time and to that specific location and have that machine pause that time, giving him enough time to reach Ratchet before he got hit. So it's very weird. It may very well be an inaccessible speed feat regardless, but I would like to, like I said, I'm still power scaling Ratchet and Clank. That video is in the works right now, and I'm going to just try to make sure if that's an inaccessible speed feat. But Jak also has inaccessible speed feats too. I didn't mention it in my previous video, why Jak is stronger than you think. go ahead and check that out. Links will be in the description. But the reason for that was because for Jack, I was trying to be as consistent as possible, and I really wasn't thinking about that during the time. But yeah, Jack also has a lot of inaccessible speed feats as well. But no, the whole time manipulation thing for Clank, that was only from the time staff. He no longer has that, so that's very weird. If we're going to be using high ends and inconsistencies like that, there's a lot of things I could say about Jack and Daxter. Another thing was that they said nanotech was more reliable than eco. I would like an explanation for that, because I did watch the whole video. It's not like they said it like somewhere in the video prior to this. I mean, if you don't believe me, like I said, links in the description, you can watch it yourself again. But they never really explained why. Like, why? So that's all I'm saying. Another thing they said was that they have a larger arsenal. Yes, that's true. Their arsenal, they do have more weapons. But they said that his arsenal of his weapons were more powerful than Jack's arsenal. Well, how? What does that mean? Like, I know some of his weapons are very hacked out, and they, the pixelator, which could like atomize someone, and the morphing ray, which could turn someone into like an animal. But Jack also has cellular and molecular defense, and he has many feats that could easily resist some of those other weapons. So they didn't even mention that. They just outright said, "Oh, it's more powerful." It's like, you can't just throw a claim out there without like give a little bit more to explain. Like, the ending conclusion was just way too short. There was no way that anybody, I don't see anybody being able to, give a conclusion to who they think would win in between this what if scenario in just like a 2-minute frame of just talking. Like, that's not enough. You need to give a little bit more than that. At least 10 to 15 minutes of talking about who you think would win and why. So they didn't really explain why his weapons are more powerful. I scaled Jack's weaponry to being like City Block to City Plus in terms of AP. With Ratchet and Clank, I'm not sure yet. I'm still power scaling it.
And I don't know why they consistently do this, but they actually label stats in their beginning analysis when first introducing the characters, but they never implement them into the actual fight scene itself. I understand that the fight scene in itself is just for entertainment purposes, but even at the ending of their conclusions, those abilities and those stats were just never mentioned or even taken into consideration.
Another thing that was pretty hilarious was that they made a really big deal about Ratchet dodging a laser, which is very strange because they dodge lasers all the time, both Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter. Jack and Daxter dodging light-based attacks from Crimson Guards and Horiquans, and Ratchet and Clank dodging lasers from robots and things like that. So I don't know why they made such a big deal about Ratchet dodging a laser. And they didn't really mention Jack dodging lasers at all. Jack was severely downplayed in terms of the speed department as well. The lack of information given about Jack, like they actually in the video showed a scene where Jack in part 1 destroys the precursor robot, and they didn't even scale it. Oh, he's so strong that with light eco he did this, and then they show him destroying the precursor robot and they don't scale it. They don't say it as anything. And also, with Jack scaling, like I said, I'm still in the works of, power scaling Ratchet and Clank, but I don't see any shields Ratchet has that could stop a light eco blast like that, especially considering how powerful Light Jack is. If you want to know how strong he is, check the link in the description. They didn't even mention Dark Daxter, and to be quite frank with you, I have the guidebooks. Personally, I ordered them. I will give him his own video very soon, power scaling just Daxter, and showing everyone that he's a lot stronger than what everyone first perceived him to be. So that's pretty much for this video. Like I said, this versus battle screw attack had made. The research was lackluster. It was severely underwhelming. I don't believe both of these characters were actually represented to their fullest, and I don't believe consistency was used consistently. And with that, they just kind of messed this video up. Like I said, it was entertaining, and with that, it's just not a good video. So with all that being said, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.